My wife's twisted game, a camping trip betrayal. I thought I was embarking on a relaxing camping trip with my wife and our closest friends. Little did I know, I was walking headfirst into a viper's nest of secrets and lies. A betrayal so profound it would shatter everything I thought I knew about my marriage. This is a story that will make you question everything you think you know about loyalty and relationships. I'm on a hiking trip, a goddamn hiking trip with my wife, Liv 36, and 3 other couples, Tom and Kate, Sean and Sarah, and Bill and Miranda. We're all in our mid-30s to early 40s, outdoorsy types who love roughing it. Also along for the ride is Liv's longtime friend, Ian, or, as his parents christened him, Orlando, and no, he wasn't named after Garfield's dog, apparently. We've been planning this 8-day trek for months, picturing serene landscapes and bonding under the stars. For the first few days, it was exactly that, bliss, until it wasn't. On the 3rd day, Liv and I decided to explore the area near our campsite. We stumbled upon a picturesque waterfall cascading into a creek, a hidden oasis. Liv, ever the adventurous one, wanted to rinse off but didn't want to get her clothes soaked. I, ever the supportive husband, encouraged her. Go for it, I said, just be quick. She did just that, a quick dip and a hasty air dry with a small towel. Then, I stepped out from behind some trees after she quickly put her shorts and panties back on. Still topless. And there he was, Ian. Now, here's where the needle screeches across the record. They didn't react. Not a flinch, not a gasp, nothing. Liv just casually started getting dressed, while Ian acted like he'd seen her stark naked a million times before. Cool as a cucumber, he casually told us that Dom wanted us to know something, a detail so insignificant I can't even recall it. My wife and Ian exchanged some banal small talk, and then we all headed back to camp. Just like that, nothing ever happened, allegedly. Now, it's day 5. And the hike is leading us to a small town where we plan to crash at a local inn, a chance to rest, resupply, and recuperate. But for the past 2 days, I've been wrestling with what I saw at the waterfall. My mind a battlefield of doubt and suspicion. I tried to hide it, but Liv noticed my change in demeanor this morning and questioned my quietness. I brushed it off as exhaustion, but the truth is, I can't shake the feeling that something deeply unsettling happened between her and Ian. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be so suspicious. But I know Ian isn't gay. I've known him for 8 years, consider him a friend. We husbands in Orlando are the outsiders in this group. The wives and Ian have been bosom buddies since college. I've asked Liv before if she's ever dated Ian, and she always vehemently denied it. I even asked if Ian had ever been with any of the other women in the group, and again, affirmed no. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but their nonchalant interaction felt familiar, especially considering she was still topless. My wife is usually very modest, so her complete lack of surprise at Ian's presence struck me as deeply unsettling. I have no solid proof, nothing I can put my finger on. But I can't escape the gnawing sensation that there's a secret history here, a chapter of their lives they're desperately trying to keep hidden. Am I just being paranoid? Or is this a glaring, crimson red flag waving right in my face? I'm trying desperately not to jump to conclusions here. I really am. Update 1. It's early morning on day 6, and I need to get this off my chest. I confronted Liv about what happened at the waterfall. I wanted to talk to her while we still had some privacy before hitting the trail, and I'm damn glad I did. I started as gently as possible, simply mentioning that it seemed odd she wasn't bothered by Ian's presence while she was half naked. If she had reacted any other way, I would have dropped it, but she became instantly, fiercely defensive. Is that why you've been so moody? It's not a big deal. Everyone has seen breasts before, including Ian. That set off every alarm bell imaginable. She rarely reacts this strongly unless she's trying to bury something deep. I pressed harder, and her defensiveness escalated, seasoned with a generous helping of gaslighting. Finally, I lost it. Either tell me what the hell is going on, or I'm going to confront Ian, who you know won't lie. That's when Liv dropped the bombshell. She and Ian had a previous sexual relationship. My blood ran cold. I was consumed with rage and demanded to know why she had lied to me. After I had specifically asked her about it, she stammered, claiming she didn't lie. They never dated, it was just a FWB friends with benefits thing before we got serious. I asked, my voice shaking, so you were sleeping with him when we first started dating? Her response, you don't have to be so vulgar. I don't want to discuss this right now. Can we have this conversation when the trip is over? My answer was a resounding, absolutely not. Either you tell me everything now, or, I think she saw the pure, unadulterated fury in my eyes and knew she couldn't stall any longer. The truth began to spill out, a toxic sludge of betrayal and manipulation. The first part, I already knew. She had a string of bad relationships and dating disasters, which she attributed to rushing into bed before truly knowing someone. When we started dating, she insisted we take things slow, get to know each other before becoming intimate. I agreed. I was looking for something different, and I was genuinely captivated by Liv. She even said I could date other people until we decided to make things official, a possibility I immediately dismissed, stating my preference to focus on one relationship at a time. Apparently, this made her ecstatic. Then came the real gut punch, the secret that would send shockwaves through our entire friend group if it ever came to light. Apparently, Kate, Miranda and Sarah had similar situations with Ian while dating their current husbands. In what reality does this occur? She explained that Kate, shortly after graduation, got fed up with dating the wrong guys. She and Ian became FWBs. When she met Dom, she decided to take things slow, mirroring my experience with Liv. But the easy decision was to continue sleeping with Ian, meeting her sexual needs while focusing on the emotional connection with Dom. Ian, bless his selfless heart, was perfectly fine with the arrangement, reassuring her that his only goal was to help her find her soulmate. They would talk about Dom, then sleep together, and when Kate finally realized Dom was the one, she ended things with Ian and began her sexual relationship with Dom, eventually marrying him. Kate later confessed her little arrangement to the other women, and over the years, they each used Ian as a surrogate while searching for their perfect match. I was just the latest unsuspecting participant in this twisted game. I pressed Liv to explain her role in all of this, telling her that the other women's marriages were none of my business. But I needed to understand how this worked for her. She claimed that after her last boyfriend turned out to be a raging narcissist, she decided she wanted to find a good guy, which I suppose was me. She asked Ian to help her in the same way he had helped the others. He agreed, claiming it was all about finding her life partner. And here I believed he was a genuine, good person. I felt sick. This has to be the worst, hall-pass joke to ever occur. I've had serious chats with Ian, and he's always seemed like the kind of guy who would help anyone with anything. We play golf together, and he's been a constant presence in my life since I started dating Liv. I just never realized how deeply involved he was. Essentially, he would listen, offer advice, and help her process her emotions, allowing her to wait until she felt completely comfortable with me. I felt like throwing up. It feels like our entire relationship was a meticulously crafted lie. Despite this, I persisted in my interrogation. I asked when she stopped seeing Ian. She claimed it was when we became official. I pointed out that I thought we were official when we agreed to date. So I asked when she considered us official. She explained, dating doesn't make two people a couple. When you asked me to commit and we had our first intercourse, that's when we were official. She then stated that she and Ian had been strictly platonic since that night. I reminded her that was 7 months into dating. So, you were sleeping with him for 7 months, silence. I knew the answer. Let me be clear, I said, my voice thick with disgust. I would pick you up for a date. We would go out, have a great time, holding hands, cuddling, kissing, making out. Then, I'd drop you off and you go meet Ian, sleep with him, and brag about what a terrific person I am. She snapped back, don't make it sound so dirty. I was beyond appalled. I wanted to run, to escape, but we were in the middle of nowhere, with no way out but to keep walking forward. In retrospect, I wish I had just left. I inquired, when you say you slept together, do you mean you just used him to get yourself off? Or do you mean you did everything, all the positions, the foreplay, the kinky things we do? More silence. You have to answer my questions, Liv. I need to know, and I will find out whether it's from you or one of them, I said, gesturing towards the other tents. She answered slowly, her voice barely a whisper, all of it. Maybe even more than with you. The room started spinning. I forced myself to ask the dreaded question. When was the last time? She said. The night before our first time together. I have never wanted to escape someone more than I did at that moment. But all I could do was sit there, paralyzed by shock. She tried to comfort me, but I ordered her to stay away. I need time, I croaked. With nowhere else to go, I grabbed some blankets and pillows and slept on the floor at the foot of the bed. I eventually passed out for a few hours. I want to get the hell out of here. But there's a 12-passenger van at the end of the trail, and I don't have the keys. I'm stuck with these people for another 2.5 days, plus another half day of travel back home. I don't know what to do. Part of me can almost understand the logic behind her actions, but mostly, I'm heartbroken and feel like our entire relationship was a carefully constructed lie. I feel like a silver medal, not a champion. I also have an overwhelming urge to expose everything, to tell all the other guys the truth, because they're all in the same boat, unknowingly participating in this twisted charade. We are all here on false pretenses. I have about an hour until everyone wakes up, and then I have to face Ian and my wife. Am I overreacting? Is this marriage worth saving? I can't see how we can ever go back to normal. Update 2. I'm back in the relative sanctuary of my own house. Unfortunately, I, along with several others, may be facing the impending doom of divorce. I managed to keep it together for most of day 6, but I'm sure everyone could tell something was off with me. I remained quiet and focused solely on getting back to the van. I guess Liv must have cornered Ian sometime around lunchtime and spilled the beans about what I knew. After that, Ian started trying to buddy up with me, attempting to strike up a conversation. Despite my repeated requests for him to leave me alone, he persisted a couple of more times before I snapped, telling him in no uncertain terms to just stop. Liv intervened and they both finally took the hint. I needed time, space to process the avalanche of information that had crashed down on me. The next 24 hours passed relatively smoothly. Everyone mostly left me alone. However, after I snapped at Ian, his demeanor changed drastically. He shifted from his usual laid-back persona to becoming noticeably distant with everyone. He also started making subtle, passive-aggressive remarks. Nothing overtly explicit, but clearly aimed at me. By the 7th night, we had set up camp, and I had managed to relax a little, even being more sociable with the group. We were sitting around the campfire, finishing up the last of our meal. People were talking, laughing, and sharing stories. Billy told a long, embarrassing story from high school, a particularly humorous tale about him and his first girlfriend, where he acted like a complete idiot. When he finished, he said something like, "I still can't believe I was ever that dumb. I still cringe just thinking about it." That's when Ian decided to chime in, his voice dripping with malice. "Well, at least you grew up. Some people never grow up and overcome their tendencies." He then stared directly at me, with the most disdainful expression I have ever seen. In that moment, I had an out-of-body experience. I saw only crimson. The filter vanished, logic was abandoned. It was on. "You know, Ian, you're right," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "Sometimes we just have to face the past head-on." Liv tried to interrupt, but I ignored her completely. "How about we address the fact that you used to bang all our wives while we were dating?" The silence that followed was deafening. Even the insects seemed to hold their breath. "Oh, fellas, didn't you know either?" I continued, my voice laced with venom. "Yeah, while they were holding out on us, waiting to make a real connection. Our future spouses were using Ian here as their human dildo." Dom and Billy looked utterly perplexed and furious. Sean, on the other hand, had a look on his face like he had just walked in on his grandmother doing something she shouldn't. Complete, train wreck astonishment. But I wasn't finished. It was Kate who devised this incredible strategy. I went on, my voice dripping with sarcasm. She realized that the secret to developing a long-term relationship was to take things slowly and get to know each other before getting into bed. All you need to deal with those pesky impulses is a best friend who will bang your brains out when you get home from your dates, all hot and bothered. Dom jumped in, his face contorted with rage. "What the actual F are you talking about? How do you even know this?" "Oh, I just found out 2 days ago that when I took Liv out for drinks, that wasn't going to be the only thing she was swallowing that night." At that moment, Liv completely lost it. She started screaming at me. "Why the F are you doing this? You didn't have to." However, she was cut short when Sean stood up, his voice trembling. "It's true. All of it is true. I have known since we were dating. I didn't realize it was true for everyone else until after we got married. I apologize, Billy. I swear, I didn't realize it was you two." Billy's face was a mask of horror. "Sean, we used to have double dates with Miranda and Sarah. We'd go out, then drop them off at Ian's." "Does that imply?" Sean simply stared at him and nodded. I whirled around to face Ian, my voice laced with contempt. "Two at once, you hound dog." Then, in a moment of pure, unadulterated lunacy, I howled like a wolf. In retrospect, it was pretty pathetic, but at the time, I thought it was hilarious. Arguments erupted amongst the couples all around me, a cacophony of accusations and denials. But then, an audible gasp, a heart-wrenching whimper, caught everyone's attention. Odie sat there, tears streaming down his face. "Ian, never again, you always do this to me. No matter how much I forgive you, or how many times I return your affection." He then slapped Ian across the face and bolted down the trail. Ian, looking shocked, ran after him. The other 3 couples mumbled under their breath at each other, then began walking away in different directions. I stood beside the fire, alone. Liv approached me, her face etched with anger. "I hope you're happy," she spat. I looked her dead in the eyes and replied, "I've never been more fast, furious and happy with myself in my whole life. I'm currently 80-20 on obtaining a divorce." I suggested we postpone any major debates until we were home, unpacked, showered, and nourished, because the only thing she would achieve before then is push me to my breaking point. With that, she turned and stormed off to her tent. The following day was the most excruciating 7 hours of my life. Between the morning pack-up, the hike to the van, loading up, and the 4.5-hour journey home, only around 19 words were spoken. Now, I'm sitting in my bathroom, freshly showered. I'm about to eat some chicken nuggets, drink 3 Dr. Peppers, and then talk to my wife. I don't know where we're headed from here, or where anyone else will end up, but I know it won't be pretty regardless. Update 3. It's been 4 weeks since we returned from that ill-fated trip, and everything has completely imploded. Dom and Kate are getting divorced. They've been together the longest of all the couples and have a 10-year-old son. Dom took the revelation particularly hard. Besides being together the longest, it's been a difficult pill for him to swallow because he remembers that they didn't really become intimate until he began to question if he wanted to stay in the relationship. Now that he knows the truth, no matter what Kate says, he will always believe the delay was due to her desire to continue sleeping with Ian. I sat down with Sean and had a couple of beers one night. Despite the fact that we just met through our wives, we've become good friends over the years. Sean said that Sarah was upfront with him when they started dating. She told him that she wanted to wait at least 3 months before having sex, but that she would still meet with her FWB. Sean liked her but told her he was just casually dating until he knew for sure, which Sarah was fine with. So, unlike the rest of us, Sean had a clear choice. Sean discovered he was falling for Sarah 2 weeks before the 3-month period ended. After a few double dates with Billy and Miranda, he told her he wanted to be exclusive. She broke the 3-month limit, and they became intimate that night and haven't looked back. They were completely honest about their adventures at that time, and it seems that their candor paid off handsomely. Sean informed me they had a brief dispute after the campfire incident because Sarah felt they should have excused themselves rather than getting involved, but they are doing well as a couple overall. I've also got an update on Billy and Miranda. They are in the initial stages of reconciliation. Billy is clearly and understandably struggling. He believes she cheated on him and used semantics to excuse it. They dated for 6 months before getting married, and they have 3 children under the age of 7. So they both believe they need to try to make it work for the kids. Billy's toughest challenge is remembering dropping both Miranda and Sarah at Ian's on 2 consecutive occasions, knowing that she had a threesome arranged. It reduced him to a shell of his former self. Miranda appears to have attempted to explain that they only did something on one of those nights, and it was more akin to a reverse train than a full threesome. Once again, semantics are used as an excuse. Sean assures me Miranda is telling the truth, because Sarah was a second party and acknowledged it wasn't a true 3-way. But honestly, does it even matter? Ian actually reached out to apologize. I told him to go and bang himself. Odie also reached out. I guess my revelation was the final straw for him. We actually talked quite a bit over the last few weeks, despite the fact that we had previously merely been cordial acquaintances. It turns out that Ian and Odie have been on and off for 15 years. Ian presents a laid-back, selfless appearance to everyone else, but Odie knows him to be incredibly self-centered and manipulative. Ian frequently breaks up with Odie for brief periods of time or claims they are on a break, so he can do whatever he wants without being labeled a cheater, only to return once he has had his fun. Looking back, Odie realized that at least 2 of these breaks occurred during these dating situations. However, Odie is the most upset since he has tolerated it for so long and has given Ian numerous chances. He says this was the final straw. He's returning to Santa Barbara and leaving Ian in the cold, nasty Midwest behind for good. Despite our exhaustion after the hike, Liv and I had a long chat. I informed her right away that I wasn't interested in arguing, disputing, or anything like that. I said, "Tell me everything you want to tell me. I will not interrupt or ask questions until you finish." Then, I demand the exact same courtesy. She agreed. Her letter was filled with apologies and explanations. She would admit it was wrong, then explain why it was okay, or point to a positive outcome. She expressed her disappointment and hurt with how I behaved at the camp. But she also realized that Ian deserved equal culpability for poking the bear. When she finished, she asked if I had any questions. I replied, no, and then I began. I informed her that our entire relationship was based on false pretenses. I can see where you were coming from and why you tried the whole FWB thing. Your 3 best friends did it and scored excellent husbands before you. But on some level, all 4 of you had to understand that starting a relationship like this was wrong. I continued. It was tremendously distressing to learn that you were sleeping with someone else while we were getting to know each other, and I believe it impeded the natural progression of our relationship. It has significantly altered my memory of our early days together. Do you remember that fantastic day we had approximately 4.5 months into our relationship? We spent the day together. It finished with us back on my couch kissing your shirt off. And me caressing you over your shorts. You paused and apologized. You needed to be absolutely certain. I assured you that everything would be fine. And you gazed at me affectionately, kissed me passionately, and then left. I stopped before saying, I can only guess you left my place and went to Ian. I added, I invested that energy in you. You chose to give it to someone else rather than returning it to me. I might have been able to get over this if it had ended in the first or second month, when we were more relaxed. But after that, we spent a lot of time together. And you maintained your relationship with him until the day before we became official. You enjoyed having us both. You did whatever mental gymnastics were required to justify it to yourself. I told her, you may not realize it, but this last portion is the toughest part of it all for me. Learning that you were far more adventurous and exciting with him is like a dagger to the heart. It makes me feel like I'm second best, like I'm the retirement plan you chose, just good enough. She interjected, saying, no, it's not like that. I love you. He was only having sex. It was not real. That's how it is when they don't matter. It's simpler to be free and wild then. And so on. I waited for her to finish before saying, remember, we agreed it was my turn to talk. Afterward, I remarked, I see your point of view, but it is not mine. As your husband, I believe it is my responsibility to give you my full energy, emotional, physical, cerebral, and sensual. I believe I have accomplished this during the past 8 years. I believe you have given me your best in some areas, but I now see I have not received your best in others. And as a man, I have to acknowledge that sensual energy is really essential to me. The fact that you did not trust me with all of your sensual energy was a determining factor. I do not think I can recover from this, and I want to file for divorce. The scene became chaotic from there. She started crying, begging, pleading with me to start over. I eventually removed myself from the situation. Later, she mentioned that we were just in an emotional state right now, and that I needed to give it some time. This gave me pause. As I previously stated, it has been for years and my feelings have been consistent. We met with a joint divorce lawyer, who will represent both of us. There were no children involved and we both want to sell the house. So the initial meeting went smoothly. She has been tremendously depressed, but this is for the best. Sometimes, things simply don't work out. Thank you very much for listening to my story. What do you think? Was I overreacting? Or was my reaction justified given the circumstances? In hindsight, do you think I handled the situation correctly? Or would you have approached things differently? I'm genuinely interested in hearing your perspectives and any advice you might have. So please share your thoughts freely.